with who we call the Queen Bee. I want you guys to welcome back up on stage Dr. Jana Schmidt, naturopathic doctor, owner, CEO of Jana's All Natural.
Thanks.
All right, light them up.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Perfect, perfect. Well, like Dr. Ardis says, I'm Dr. Jana Schmidt, and for those of you who may not know me, I'm a naturopath, a master herbalist, but first and foremost, I'm a wife and mother. So I'm going to speak to you from the heart of a mother with what's going on in our world. So I was raised in this natural lifestyle. I probably didn't even have a soda till I was like 16, and then I didn't like it, right? So I was raised like this. My dad was a doctor, but my mom was a hippie. So, put that together. And my great-grandmother was a Native American Indian healing woman for her tribe. I got so much good information growing up that when it got time to go to med school, I was like, yes, naturopathic med school, that's for me. And I've been learning and growing since. So I wanted just to share with you that it's been really important for me to keep my family and myself well with natural things and avoid any sort of medication, chemicals. And this isn't just what we're eating, but it's how we're living as well. So everything that I suggest to you will be natural. I grew up growing a garden, raising chickens, climbing trees, keeping bees. So this is from where I come from. So I'm gonna teach you to do what I do, and I learned from it as a child, is to read the cues in your body. There's telltale signs there's something wrong, and if you know that, you can catch it early and use some natural things to help your body heal, because it does heal on its own. So I'm gonna be sharing with you, as you can see, key body systems and the signs when something's wrong. So just a note, anybody have a clicker? Okay, so, oh, thank you. There it is. I always have clicker issues. All right, so here's our disclaimer, blah, blah, here it is. Okay, now we'll get on to the good stuff. So I am truly happy to welcome you here, and it's so important to me. I feel like it's always been important to do things naturally, but now I feel like it's urgent. Do you feel the urgency? It's urgent. It's not even like, oh, it would be great to choose this over this. It's like, I have to choose this over this, because we have to do everything we can to keep our bodies strong and our minds strong. So I'm going to share with you just some basics on how the body grows, how you grow, how your body works. And if you're not feeling well, your body is generally not getting what it needs. There's an obstacle of some sort, a toxin, an external or internal barrier. So I'm going to help you strive for optimal health, which your body is always trying to do naturally anyway. Okay. So here it is, the remarkable body. I'm just going to do a brief overview of these, just a snapshot, and this is a disclaimer. This is by no means an anatomy or physiology advanced class. I'm just going to give you the basics because I want you to know how your body's working and how they work together. So I'm just, like, if you have a symptom, it could be a dozen things wrong. Like if you have itchy skin, it could be eczema, it could be a bug bite, it could be parasites, and there could be dozens of different approaches. I'm just going to give you a snapshot. This could cause this. Pay attention to your body. Yes, and I want you just to be really sensitive to those telltale signs. All right, so let's get to it. I mean, knowledge is power, right? So here it is, the muscle system, the skeletal system. It's pretty amazing, helps us move. 206 bones. Anybody know how many muscles in the body? 600. But it only takes 17 muscles to smile, takes 43 to frown. So I'd much rather smile. All right, let's get right to this. If you have an extreme D deficiency, there's several signs that come. One of them is achy bones. Your aching bones. One of those deficiency signs of D is aching bones. And what's the best source of D? Yes, you guys are my people. Sunlight, yes, definitely sunlight is the best source of vitamin D. You can get D from mushrooms and eggs and fish too, but sunlight's my favorite. If your body is over acid, you can feel inflamed, and you have inflamed joints. So if someone's achy, my first thing is, well, let's get you alkaline. Start eating alkaline foods. Foods especially like lemons and watermelon, those are incredibly alkaline. And avoid those things that make you acid. Sodas, alcohol, heavy meat, sugar, that's very acidic. And sorry to say this, but also coffee. I'm just the deliverer of the news, right? I'm just the deliverer. I didn't make it up. All right, so a mineral imbalance can create weak bones. 90% of phosphorus and calcium are deposited in teeth and bones. So if you have a mineral deficiency, that can be a problem. And if you're insufficient in magnesium, it can cause cramps and spasms. Anybody ever had those cramps in their legs, wake up in the night like, that's generally a magnesium deficiency. And you can take care of that right away. There's topical magnesium. Go swim in the ocean. That's going to help. Take a sea salt bath. When's the last time your doctor said, I think you need to take a bath? Take a nice warm bubble bath with sea salt. So it helps, it really helps to do that every once in a while. So there's a little self-test, and I like to do this. My nails are not painted today, but if you look at your nails, if everybody looks at their hand like this, and you start with the thumb, do you see at the base of the cuticle a little lighter color? I call them moons. If you go from there and it's on your index finger or the next finger or the next finger or the next finger, if those moons are distinguishable, that means there's a mineral deficiency of some sort. Now, obviously, it doesn't tell me exactly what the mineral deficiency is, but that means there's a mineral deficiency. And you can monitor your own healing that way. As you get better minerals, you'll see that they recede. So I actually don't have any. So that's a good way to test if you're mineral deficient. Distinguishable. So if they're clearly lighter, if it's like white, if you can really see them. I should have shown a picture. All right, here's our nervous system. Guys, everything we say, feel, do, it is a complicated process. It helps with thought process and involuntary, like blinking, blushing. The nervous system is the brain stem, and all the nerves. All right. Extreme dehydration can cause sciatic pain to worsen. Electrolytes, you need electrolytes if you're dehydrated. Coconut water is my go-to, other than great filtered water. Carrot and celery juice can help replenish the body too. In that situation, I've seen it instantly, like within 15 minutes, clear up sciatic pain because if someone was dehydrated. High sugar levels can result in nerve damage, legs and feet. I love chamomile, passion flower, holy basil, skullcap, gotu kola. These are all excellent for supporting the whole system. So the nervous system also is really benefited by yoga, stretching, exercise. Qigong is one of my favorites. It's very gentle. And one of the best supplements that I recommend for the nervous system is d2p choline. It has many uses, but that's actually my very favorite. And there's a side note. And this is in relation to the brain, and I'm going to talk more about herbs and essential oils tomorrow, but I can't resist because we're talking about the brain. Frankincense, the essential oil of frankincense is so amazing and powerful. Just a drop on the roof of your mouth can brighten your mind and make things clear and sharp. And I've done this for years, but I've had several people come to me with really serious issues in their brains, tumors, or even just like hallucinations and different things, and they didn't want to go with medicines, they didn't want to go with surgery. I'm like, well, it can't hurt to start with frankincense, right? Let's start there, continue to talk to your other doctors, and remarkably, 90% of the time, tumors shrink, the hallucinations are gone. Absolutely amazing. Not all essential oils are good for internal though, so you pick a good one, and we can talk about that tomorrow as well. Okay. So I wanted to give a shout out to the chiropractors. So misalignment of the spine and the vertebrae disc, chiropractors in the house, can mess up your whole body, right? All the nerves go through the spine. So it can cause, that irritation can cause pain and dysfunction anywhere in the body. So this is why chiropractors have such success with different things like asthma, indigestion, PMS, because everything is affected through that spine, all the nerves. So removing that irritation and getting you in alignment can restore health. So if you don't have a good chiropractor, I recommend you get one. All right, now we're on to the cardiovascular system, sometimes called the circulatory system. This is heart, blood vessels, and I want to note that the spike glycoprotein from circulating venoms can cause heart damage. We promise we're going to cover solutions for that tomorrow, but there's an affinity for it to go all in the bloodstream and get everywhere in the tissues. So I definitely recommend listening to our solutions. There was a study, and I may mention it later too, Dr. Byram Bridle, and he got this study from a Japanese scientist that shows where those spike glycoproteins settle, and they go through the circulatory so quickly within hours, and the heart was definitely one of them. All right, circulatory system continued. Sufficient calcium helps regulate your heartbeat, so it's good to get calcium. My favorite for calcium are green leafy vegetables. It's actually a misnomer to say that milk is the best source of calcium, because I think spinach is much better. I'd much rather give my family a big spinach salad than anything with dairy. Moringa is also fascinating. It is amazing. It actually has 7 times the calcium than milk. Has anybody heard of moringa? It's a superfood, and it grows like a weed. Pretty awesome. So some of my favorite herbs for circulation are chickweed and hawthorn. Pomegranate is absolutely incredible for protecting the heart. It actually reduces plaque in the arteries. And the reason why, I'll give you like a little synopsis of why pomegranate and anything like that, dark berries, black cherry, helps the heart, is when the artery walls are torn, the liver sends a cholesterol patch to lay over that artery, like a Band-Aid. When you have a lot of tears, it gets built up, right? And if they don't heal, it keeps building up. But when the artery walls heal, then it comes off. And the dark cherry, berries, and pomegranate are what helps the arteries heal. So it actually lowers your cholesterol and opens up the arteries. CoQ10 is really awesome for the heart as well. It's a great protector. But beware, statin drugs will shut down the absorption of CoQ10. So, also want you to be really aware that graphene oxide, now proven, we knew it, but now it's been proven, it's out there, has an affinity for the circulatory system, and it gets everywhere, and Dr. Ed Group is going to talk about that more coming up. All right, next system, digestive system. This is a very complex system, and Dr. Ardis is going to talk about that today. So I'm not going to go too far into it, but I am going to give a brief overview. This is the mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestines, liver, pancreas, gallbladder. A healthy gut bacteria is crucial. It's crucial. Probiotic foods, they're easy. They're delicious. I recommend doing them on a regular basis. Avoid sugar. That's really hard on the gut. And avoid Wi-Fi radiation right here. How many people sit here like this with their phone or their laptops right in their lap? It does a lot of damage, but it really destroys your gut microbiome to have your cell phone radiation like right there near your stomach. And it's easy. We can just move it over here, right? So I wanted to also mention that the gum tissue and the heart tissue have the same cellular structure, so CoQ10 helps your mouth as well. It's also good to give your digestive system a rest every once in a while. Fasting is incredible, and I think Dr. Ely will be talking about fasting and the benefits of fasting. We need to combat the onslaught of bioweapons. We need DNA repair, and fasting is one of the best ways to do that. So here are a few little tips. Avoid fluoride in the water. It does not do your teeth any good. It's a disservice. It actually leaches magnesium, and it's an endocrine disruptor. So we need to filter out the fluoride from your water. Canker sores are actually a sign of a deficiency. Could be a variety of things, the Bs, folate, zinc and iron. These deficiencies can create canker sores. So also it could be the sign that you may have a gluten intolerance. And I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. I think this one's fascinating. Some people who have like chronic dry mouth have too much silicone in their body. Anybody know where silicone's going to come from? Waxes, cookware, implants. These can accumulate in the body and then block the receptors that you can have. You can end up having dry mouth. Red clover and chaparral actually moves silicone out of the body. You just drink a tea, chaparral and red clover, it's going to remove silicone. It's pretty awesome. Swollen or inflamed on the inside of your mouth, like if you have a lump on the inside of your mouth, like your lip, that indicates there's something going on in the digestive system, whether it's the top or the bottom. Very interesting. The top will mean it's the small intestine, and the bottom will mean it's the large intestine, like a big knot or a sore. And you can, as you heal, you can also monitor your healing that way too when that goes away. Might mean you need to like do a digestive cleanse. All right, this is fascinating to me, this tongue chart. When I learned this, I thought, this is so cool. You can look at someone's tongue and know what's going on in their body. I mean, generally, of course. So I'm just gonna give you a few things. You can use this for yourself, for your family. Sometimes I tell my kids, okay, stick your tongue out, let me see what's going on. Down the center of the tongue, as you can see, is the digestive system. If you have deep cracks or branches, that means that you're not digesting properly. But as you implement things to help your body digest, digestive enzymes, eating right, maybe a cleanse, you'll notice those go away. They smooth over, so you can monitor your own degree of healing in that regard. Raised red bumps on the tip of the tongue mean there's something going on with your heart. Obviously, it doesn't tell me exactly what's going on with your heart, but it does give an indication. And I have to tell you, more and more people now, I always look at people's tongues when they come to see me, have those red bumps on the end of their tongue, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And now we know more now, the heart tissue is being damaged by all these bioweapons. So a yellow coating could mean an infection, heat. If it's a gray, it's a long time infection. It's been there for a long time. It's generally digestive and stagnant. Definitely time for cleanse and movement. Geographic tongue, does anybody know what that is? Kind of looks like a map, what they call it that. It's a bacterial infection generally, or nutritional deficiency. Scalloped edges might mean that there's excess mucus and some system weakness, like in the digestive system as well. Yeah. So there's hundreds more signs that I could give you, but I encourage you to do your own research, and also, with your own family, check out everybody's tongue, see what's going on. Stick your tongue out. Okay, a little bit more on the digestive system. I'm just going to recommend that you eat slowly, enjoy your food, don't overeat. And eating slowly can help that for sure. The goal is to extract nutrients, and the digestion starts in the mouth. So avoid excess liquids while you're eating a meal. We say drink when you drink, eat when you eat, because you don't want to dilute the gastric juices that are actually doing the job to digest your food. So try to avoid that if you can. And if you eat any food that's like natural, organic, it has the enzymes in it that you need. But if it's been processed at all, or it's not organic and potentially irradiated. And by the way, almost all the fruits and vegetables that end up in our grocery store have been irradiated with gamma rays that kill the enzymes, so they sit on the shelf longer and look nice. So if you've ever noticed, like, these apples look great and these organic ones look a little, bruised and funny, it's because their enzymes have not been killed. The enzymes needed to digest that food in your body. So I always recommend, if you can get organic, please. If you can get fresh picked, yes, but we can't always do that. So being realistic, you might want to take actually a digestive enzyme to help you digest that. And bitters also help us digest. My favorite bitter is cardamom. Cardamom, ginger, cilantro can all help the gastric juices do the digestion and get the nutrients. Anyone heard of the gut-brain connection? There is a true connection between your gut and your brain and the immune system. They're all intertwined. 90% of serotonin, that's our happy hormone, is made in the gut. I actually found this really interesting. The more you eat things that are bad for you, the more you want them. That's because you're growing this type of bacteria in your stomach that's not healthy, like candida. Have you heard of candida? Yeah. So the more you feed it, the more it grows, the more it wants. And so your brain looks at this like, oh, these are a bunch of donuts, and then over here's this kale salad. And you're like, well, of course you know logically that kale salad is going to be better, but you keep like, why do I want these donuts so much? Why? And the reason is because for every one signal that tells you that you want that kale salad, those awful little bacteria in the yeast in your stomach is sending 9 messages to your brain like, no, feed us first. So just knowing that can actually help you get over it. And the more you say no to those little invaders and say yes to what you know is good for you, the less they'll have a voice. They'll go away, and your good bacteria will come and be in charge. Okay, next slide. All right, liver is, liver is so amazing. It's responsible for detoxing. Everything is just incredible with the liver. I want to encourage you to listen when they talk about detoxification of the liver. Does everybody know where their liver is? Dr. Ely always says, put your right hand up and go like this. There's your liver, right? It's right there. And I think actually maybe Dr. Group will be talking about liver cleanse as well. So there's lots of things that show there's something wrong with your liver. Pain and swelling can be one. Dark urine color may mean there's something wrong with your liver. Pale stool color, chronic fatigue, nausea, vomiting. Sadly, our livers are not all performing as they should, most at about 20%, but there's things you can do to boost it. And I think it's really, really important right now that we keep all of our detoxification systems as strong and healthy as possible so we can combat the bioweapons. My favorite herbs for the liver are milk thistle, dandelion, beets, turmeric, and burdock. Those are my favorites. Oh, and artichoke really helps open the biliary ducts within the liver to help it work really well, and possibly digestive enzymes. Okay. Last bit on the digestive system, pockets of waste in the colon can cause diverticulitis and a lot of pain. That may mean a need just to get a good colon cleanse. Fiber, clay, activated charcoal can do this, and you can do it for a period of time. I actually recommend doing that anyway, even if you don't have pain. It's a good preventative to every once in a while do an evening digestive cleanse of some psyllium husk, activated charcoal, maybe fulvic acid. Awesome. And also damaged villi in the intestines can cause gluten intolerance and sensitivity, and there's a need to repair there. And avoid gluten, of course. Fennel, ginger, marshmallow, slippery elm, aloe, these are all wonderful, and whole foods can help. And I know, again, Dr. Ardis is going to talk in detail about how the food goes through. So cravings, what do cravings mean? Usually means there's something deficient in your body. It's an urgent or abnormal desire or longing. That's what a craving is called. So here's something. You have to distinguish between a craving and I just want it, right? Which is different. Like we just talked about the craving for that donut, but that's the candida. We know, okay, we don't need to satisfy that craving. It doesn't mean I need more donuts. It's that bacteria telling me that, and the yeast. So it doesn't always mean you need that certain type of food that you're craving. It might be you're dehydrated. It might mean you're anxious. It might mean you lack of sleep. Any women crave chocolate at that time of the month? Yeah, it's common. Magnesium, we're craving magnesium. Doesn't mean you don't have the chocolate, but also you might need to replenish with some minerals. Red raspberry leaf is the #1 women's herb. It is amazing no matter what age you are. I'm telling you, it's gonna take care of PMS, it's gonna take care of cramping. Red raspberry leaf is a woman's friend throughout her whole life. Menopausal, everything. That's my go-to to recommend to women. Pregnancy, it's safe, it's amazing. So that's definitely a craving that you can help combat. Red raspberry leaf tea. If you're craving salt, you might be dehydrated. Carbs, we talked about that. That might be that overgrowth of yeast or low thyroid function. If you're craving caffeine, it might mean you have adrenal fatigue. And you may need more sleep, less stress. So I'm going to give you a little self-test for adrenal burnout. So if you look at the pupil of your eye very closely, and it's holding still in steady light, it's good. So when you go outside, it gets smaller. When you come into a darker room, it gets bigger, so it adjusts naturally, but it should find its balance. And if it doesn't, there's a problem. So if you look at your eye, you can put a little light on it if you want, or just at a close-up mirror, and it's pulsing like this, that's a sign that your adrenals are burnt out. And quite often with stress, even good stress can cause that. But I love rhodiola. It's a wonderful herb for adrenals. And then there again, you can monitor your own healing. You can see when that pupil is steady, your adrenals are strong too. If you are craving fermented foods, you might need some probiotics. Your gut may be crying out for something like that, or low in electrolytes. Okay, there are some unusual cravings out there like chalk. or dirt. Has anybody heard of this? It's really not that unusual. There are people that crave really odd things. It's usually a mineral deficiency. If you're craving something like chalk, it's just not as unusual as you might think. And of course, eating dark green leafies are gonna help with that too. Chewing ice. Anybody have this issue where they just crave chewing ice? Not just like it, that's okay, that's different. Your dentist may not think so, but chewing ice might be an iron deficiency. And let me clarify that. Might be you have iron in your body. Most of us do. Most people are not iron deficient. It's very, very, very rare someone is truly iron deficient because iron is so abundant in our world. But it may mean you're not uptaking the iron you need, and that usually leads to, I look to copper. If we have low copper, copper and iron are buddies, they go together. If you don't have enough copper, you can't get the iron that's in your body. So I generally look if someone's chewing ice, well, okay, let's check your iron, let's check your copper. If you're craving junk food or fried foods, it generally means you've probably been eating a lot of junk food or fried foods, and your body just wants it, right? So just be aware of that. You don't always give the body what you think it needs at that time. So assess it and try to determine what you really need, what's really going on in your body. So, all right, we're gonna move on to the respiratory system. Whoops, I'm going backwards. I tell you, these clickers and we go around and around. All right, respiratory system. It's our gas exchange. It's where we bring in oxygen and we leave out carbon dioxide. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about the very special relationship we have with plants, the symbiotic relationship we have with plants and breathing. So the body's whole blood volume actually passes over the membranes in our lungs once a minute to exchange oxygen. So my favorite for the lungs is wild cherry bark. So this is wonderful for cough and getting out any phlegm or mucus and extra mucus, anything that might be wet. Comfrey root is really gentle as well. Honey draws moisture out. Capsicum increases circulation. And my favorite herbs, I love to make a tea of all these, is mullein, marshmallow root, sage, holy basil, olive leaf, and eucalyptus. It is an amazing, amazing breathing and lung clearing herb combination. So I am going to talk just briefly about carbon dioxide, and that's our waste product. We breathe it out. So what is soda made fizzy with? Carbon dioxide. It's our waste product for our body. So when we drink a soda, we are literally dumping a waste product into our body, and our bodies freak out and gotta get it out. So we've over-acided our body, and it actually takes 24 glasses of water to offset the negative pH of one soda. I'm not even talking about sugar or artificial sweeteners. Please don't eat any artificial sweeteners. I can talk about that more tomorrow, but my goodness, it's not worth the time. Do something natural or avoid it altogether. But I do want to let you know that soda and anything made fizzy with carbon dioxide is going to cause acid in the environment. And there are some fizzy things like kombucha, so that's good. And there are some natural fizzies that made with sparkling water, which isn't as harmful. And I definitely think that it's a good idea to surround yourself with plants, since we have such a wonderful symbiotic oxygen-carbon dioxide relationship. We're designed to be around plants. Okay, endocrine system, also very complex system, and I've included reproduction in this as well. All of our systems are under attack right now, all of them. And again, I refer to Byron bridles because one of the places that the spike glycoprotein settles is in the reproductive system, heavy. They actually stopped the experiment at 72 hours because it was so horrific, like how quickly that things were accumulating, especially in the reproductive system. And the pancreas actually has been poisoned with all the venoms. We talked about this yesterday. It literally stops performing its job to regulate insulin. So we definitely need to be really, really in tune to our endocrine system. So here's a few things that the endocrine system, like some things that might happen that you want to be aware of. If you have no stress response, your fight or flight, like nothing nothing induces that adrenaline rush, then that's probably sluggish adrenals or iodine deficiency. And we talked about how you can check your pupils to see if your adrenals are deficient. So iodine deficiency, how would you know if you're iodine deficient? It's actually really easy. If you take iodine, and this is, I always get like a really good iodine, and Dr. Ed Group has a wonderful one. If you put it on the inside of your arm, just a drop, and you wait, and you look how quickly does it absorb. If it absorbs within the first 3 hours, you're really iodine deficient. If it takes, 4, 5, 6 hours, then you're moderately deficient in iodine. If it's up to like 8 hours, you're mildly deficient. If it's there the next day, you don't need any, you're good. If it's 12, 24 hours later, and you still have that little spot, you're fine. So this is a really good way to test if you actually need to be taking iodine or eating seaweed or any of these other things that help with that. Ashwagandha is also a really good one for stress response. An overactive thyroid. This is a very common problem. People end up having bulging eyes. They have heat intolerance. Their nails separate from the bed of their fingers, and difficulty sleeping, anxiety. My favorite herbs for this, these work beautifully. Lemon balm, turmeric, and bugleweed. These are my favorites. So Dr. Ed Group and Dr. Henry Ely are going to share iodine's role in disarming these bioweapons. It's fantastic, and that's why I think it's really important to know how to do the self-test. But I will have to tell you, in the last year, everybody that comes to me that I test, by the time we're finished with our consultation, it's gone. Everyone. Really surprised me because it used to be about half, but now it's everybody. Okay, more endocrine deficiency. If you're deficient in minerals and menstrual cramping, as we talked about, a lack of sleep and stress can result in adrenal fatigue, goiters, etc. And here's a nice long list of wonderful supplements that I love to use. Pau d'Arco. Has anyone heard of this unusual herb, Pau d'Arco? It's an antiviral, but it also serves as a hormone balancer for the pituitary gland, especially helpful in if people are interested in having a baby. I would like to make sure that all their parts are working well. I'm also a natural fertility specialist, and I love to help people get their bodies clean and working right, and then also add all the right herbs and foods for them to have a baby. Super, super fun. Okay, the urinary system, sometimes called the renal system, this helps get unused liquids out of the body. The main function is with kidney and bladder. All the blood passes through the kidneys all the time. It's absolutely amazing. It's very important to keep your kidneys healthy. And dark urine, as I said before, can show that you're dehydrated. It could also mean that there's a bladder stone. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And there's actually an herb. Its name means stone breaker, Chansa pedra. Did I write that up there? Oh, I did. So it's actually called stone breaker. It's pretty amazing at breaking up stones in the bladder. Celery seed extract, celery juice is also really good for this. Right, this is a really funny one. Oh, I actually wrote it. Okay, this is funny. One way to find out through your urine if you're digesting your proteins properly in the day is, okay, we're going to get a little personal. When you go to the bathroom and urinate, if the bubbles stay on top of the water for more than 5 seconds and they don't pop, that's usually an indication that you're not digesting your proteins properly. It's just, and then you could look into that. Maybe you need a digestive enzyme. Maybe you're eating too much protein. It's funny, I've taught my family, my boys, I have all boys, growing up, I taught them these sort of tips so they'll be able to monitor their healing, the eye test, the nails, everything. There's dozens of them. And I would hear, after they've gone to the bathroom, like, I'm digesting my proteins. Like, great. Okay, you can keep that to yourself. Just flush and wash your hands, Yeah, super fun. Super fun to teach your family these. And boys, they always say fun things. Okay, integumentary system. Okay, fancy name, it's your skin. Incredibly complex system. This is absolutely amazing. Hair, nails, other glands. This is the largest organ of our body. Everything you put on your skin matters. It all matters. It's all soaking right in, goes directly into the bloodstream. It's very important that you avoid things with harmful chemicals, especially now. Let's take a look at this next slide. It's really amazing, all the different layers of this. It's really incredible. It helps, like when you're too hot, it's gonna make you sweat. There are some signs if you have a rash. It can mean many things. Often it means parasites. So take, a need for a cleanse at that point, right? And when your fingernails go from looking healthy to separating at the nail bed, we talked about that. It could have to do with your thyroid. If your wounds are slow to heal, it might just mean you need more vitamin C in your life. And I will say that vitamin C, if you're just getting ascorbic acid, you need to make sure it's not synthetic, because I'd say more than half, maybe even up to 80% of ascorbic acid offered in supplements is synthetic. So you don't want to mess with that. It is absolutely no time to mess with fillers in supplements, and they're not all created equal. Honestly, look for reputable sources. We're going to give you lots of good suggestions on different types of supplements. The ones here are amazing, so be very careful not to waste your time and energy, and especially your health, on something that's not good for you. Hyaluronic acid. This is kind of new in all the cosmetic world, but it's been around for a long time because it's in citrus and green leafy. It's wonderful for your skin, internal and external. You can take it internally with lots of different foods or supplement, but also externally as well. High silica. So if you have brittle hair or brittle nails or skin that has issue, something with silica in it, and my favorite is horsetail. Sounds funny, but it's just this lovely plant that grows by water, and you can make a tea out of it. You can sprinkle it on anything. It's really incredible for encouraging that to be strong as well. Bananas, beans, lentils, those all help as well. Aloe is probably my favorite, inside and out. It's antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral. Again, inside and out, aloe is amazing. So I discovered something, and I put it at the bottom, Bryan oil. So I was looking for something for skin. I was working on a natural sunscreen, and I don't use sunscreen very often because I'd rather have the sun, but if I'm gonna be out for hours and hours, I want something just a little protective. Tamanu oil is my favorite. It's an SPF of 15. Carrot seed is an SPF of 30, all natural. And coconut oil is an SPF of about 4 to 6, and it helps absorb the D while protecting your skin. So when I go out, I always put coconut oil on my skin, not to mention the good fatty acids. But Bryan oil, as I was going through the benefits, looking, I found anti-venom. I'm like, what? This is amazing. So I started putting it in some of my topical washes and shampoos because we need to protect ourselves inside and out from this mess. And then I also just found this yesterday, and I'm sending on our long text thread back and forth, like, oh my goodness, neem is preventative for venom. So people who live in places that get bitten by snakes, truly get bitten by snakes, and I feel like that's kind of what's happening to us all the time, right? We're getting bitten, we don't even know it. They chew the neem leaves to prevent them, so if they did get bitten, they're good. It's amazing. I was really excited to share that with you guys today. Okay, lymphatic system. It's 95% water. It's really important we stay hydrated. This is a large system, about 600 nodes in our body. Spleen, thymus, tonsils, adenoids, lymph. So, have you heard that we don't need our tonsils? Oh, let's just take them out. I don't know if anybody has their tonsils out, but those are important. I mean, we obviously have many nodes in our body, but that's our first line of defense. When we swallow something, they need to be there to help us protect from pathogens. It's the first thing inhaled as well, and we don't need them, right? Okay, my favorite lymph herbs. I don't think I put them up there. Oh, I did. Astragalus, ginseng, these are lovely. And lemon actually helps alkaline and maintain your pH, which helps lymph move. But the number one way to get lymph to move is for us to move. That's the number one way. So even if you don't want to go out and exercise heavy, or you don't have the time or don't have the capability, you can definitely move. You can stretch, qigong, yoga. It's really important to move the lymph because it's not moving unless you move it. Massage is also a really good way to move lymph. Okay. Change? Okay. So God created this incredibly complex system. Did I do it right? There it is. But it's under attack. Our immune system is under attack, and all of our systems work together to be part of our immune system. If you think about it, there's some sort of defense with every system, and it's definitely under attack. And I feel like Dr. Ardis is going to continue to drop a lot of truth bombs on you with how they're under attack and what we can do. So look at all the things that are. I mean, this is what I could fit on the slide. There are so many other ways that we're being attacked, and our immune system is being just hammered. And this slide is a little wordy, but I definitely wanted to share it with you. Come on. So look at all these systems. These are ways that these systems help our immune system. They all work together. Yep, every system contributes to the immune system. So signs that you might have a weak immune system: chronic infection, poor wound healing, chronic fatigue, chronic aches, chronic anything, really, digestive issues, canker sores, lots more. And here's some ways to support your immune system. Of course, we're going to give you ways to protect it from the bioweapons. More on that tomorrow for sure. But sleep, sunshine, just getting a little more sleep. I like to say at least 7 hours if you can do it, and getting a little sunshine will make a world of difference. It's amazing that something so simple can be so effective. And again, movement, got to move the lymph. I wanted to mention sprouts very quickly. It's one of my favorite foods. Sprouts have something called sulforaphane. Also, cruciferous vegetables have it too, but it's really concentrated in sprouts. If you think about it, nutrient-dense sprout is going to make that whole plant. So if you eat sprouts or microgreens, they're high in sulforaphane. And sulforaphane, I knew that it helped brain function for years. I've helped lots of kids that would come that have autism, and the only thing we did different at first was we're going to make sure you get sprouts in your diet some way, shape, or form. And amazing results, incredible results in these children's ability to go to school, to have great conversations, to be creative, wonderful people that they want to be. So I knew that had that benefit. But recently, I looked at what would help detox dioxins. So a dioxin is a chemical made from plastic. It's artificial. And when it's called vinyl chloride. When vinyl chloride is burned, it creates dioxins. And this can happen if someone's just burning their trash. It can create dioxins in the air and the water. But do you remember the recent train derailment in Palestine, Ohio? Yeah, I see some nodding heads. Well, it was filled with vinyl chloride. And instead of calling the company in Texas, actually, to come and remove it, they poked holes in those train cars, let it spill out, and set it on fire. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, none. And of course, now we have all these dioxins in the water system, in the air, and that's near the rivers, and of course now we have it everywhere. So I honestly feel like people should be detoxing dioxins all the time. We don't know you can't see them, right? You can't smell them. So I feel like that's really important, and sprouts are a perfect way to do that. Not only does it detox, but it protects you from incoming dioxins as well. Sorry, I got on a rabbit trail. That was really important to me. Okay. So with these incredible body systems, inside and out, we have 37 to 39 trillion natural, helpful microflora. And Dr. Henry Ely is going to teach about the secrets of the universe and our cells. It's going to be great. But I also want to remind you that the miraculous creation functions reflect God's image, right? We are God-made. If someone disagrees with that origin of life, don't you think, thank you. It's the most important thing I think I can say. But if someone doesn't know that or disagrees with that, it doesn't seem unusual why they might manipulate, change, alter DNA without even a second thought, right? They don't realize that genetically modifying God's design is wrong. It's wrong on every level. And even chemicals, man-made chemicals for people's bodies, whether it's in food or water, like, we're messing with God's design, holy design. Now, while modern science has discovered so much about human life, they still don't understand all the godly mysteries, and I feel like it's time for us to really focus in on that for our healing. And we're not supposed to be afraid. there's a lot of scary things out there. They appear scary, but if you remember that God didn't give us that spirit of fear, right? What did he give us? Love, sound mind, oh yes, you know it, right? And power. Let that sink in every day, right? Every day that's going to be important for you to remember when you come across something that's scary or looks, as soon as you feel that, just remember God didn't give you that, right? This is what God gave you. So we are his masterpiece, made in his image, and his profound engineering outshines everything we know. There's a place locally here, it's in Dallas, and it's called Institute for Creation Research. Has anybody heard of that? Yeah? Awesome. Wonderful. As I was doing some research, I found that they have a series of videos, and one is called Made in His Image. It's incredible. It shows that there's so much more than just a well-engineered system. So I highly recommend looking at that. And as you witness the wonders of God's work in our bodies, in our minds, I pray that you have this sense of reverence and worship and awe that God intended when he first created you in his own image. Yeah, thanks. So we are going to do some Q&A. We're going to do a few questions and answers. And then, so if you have any cards, do you have cards in front of you? If anybody has a specific question about what I presented now, I am going to talk about lots of solutions tomorrow, lots of plants, lots of talk about bees. Sorry, it's coming. It's coming. I can't help myself. Then you can come up and ask the questions. And I think everyone's going to join, and we're all going to take questions together. We'll get to as many as we can. We have several other Q&A sessions today and tomorrow, so if your question doesn't get answered, hang tight.
Hi, thank you. Rapid fire questions. Crunchy cravings for crunchy things, what's that an indication of?
Crunchy cravings.
Or is that the fast food?
It usually crunchy goes with sweet or salty.
Okay, salty.
Yeah, dehydration usually.
Okay.
Yeah, or the needs for electrolytes.
Next question. My daughter is at Ohio State.
Okay.
And the East Palestine thing was a big...
Yes, yeah.
So what are the manifestations of dioxin poisoning, and what are the methods of detoxifying from that? If you cover it tomorrow, you don't have to answer.
Right, we're going to cover lots of ways of detoxifying, but eating sprouts every day, sulforaphane, cruciferous vegetables, and if you can make your own sprouts is even better, because then you're controlling the water that your sprouts are grown in.
I'll ask you about face wash, but there are others behind.
Come to my table and talk to me. I'd love to talk to you, yeah. Hi.
You mentioned using frankincense?
Yes.
So I was just wondering what brand of essential oils you would recommend.
This is a great question. So what brand of essential oils do I recommend? They're not all for internal use. I grew up with Aura Cassia, so I feel really comfortable using it. I know it very well. But internal, I think the best is doTERRA. Personally, that's just the one that I tend to go to. It's a little more expensive sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. And if you're going to put it inside your body, that's the one I recommend. Thanks.
For a gluten sensitivity, have you heard about einkorn flour? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so our question was, have I heard about einkorn flour for gluten sensitivity? And yes, this is my favorite go-to. Actually, when someone's gluten sensitive, we get them off all gluten for a while and give the body some time to heal. The villi in the intestines often get inflamed, so we're going to do aloe and slippery elm and lots of whole foods. But when it comes time and we feel like it's healed 4 to 6 months, then I'll introduce einkorn flour. And if you haven't looked at it, look up Jovial, Jovil. Amazing, and their book is incredible. It talks about science and history and recipes. It's absolutely amazing. This flour, the gluten is perfectly balanced. If you look at gluten, it has 2 parts, like A and B, and in this unhybridized ancient grain, they're equal. But in hybridized, meaning, we're gonna change it, alter it to grow bigger, faster, heat tolerant, and this isn't genetically modified, this is just hybridized. then the gluten gets off very quickly. It's super sensitive, and it goes like this. And A's way here, and B's here. So everybody's going to be off a little bit, some people more than others. But einkorn is amazing, and you can use it to make gravies and cakes and pancakes, and it's wonderful. So everyone that has been introduced to einkorn flour after their intestines have healed have had great success. And so when people come to my house and are like, "Oh, is that einkorn pasta?" I'm like, "Yes," or "Yes, I can eat it." So it's good. Hi.
Hi. Are floaters in your eye adrenal fatigue?
Floaters in the eye, adrenal fatigue. I have seen floaters in the eye come from adrenal fatigue, but also moisture in the eye too. So sometimes it's a need to remove moisture. But
How do you fix?
How do you fix them? Okay. Floaters are difficult. Like I actually have had floaters since I was a child, and I'll tell you when they came up is when I had my ears pierced. This point right here is the point of the cornea skin in our points all over our body in acupressure and acupuncture, and as soon as that happened, I had floaters. So I feel like I damaged that. But eye bright is an herb, and it's spelled eye bright. It's appropriately named, and eye bright is absolutely amazing for the eye, and we use it for eye wash. It can cure pink eye overnight. It can help us sty. It even helped our child when he was 8 years old. They said he needed glasses. So we're like, okay, we can do that. But I started having him drink the Eye Bright tea and doing the wash several times a week. And then when we went in to get glasses there, I said, he's 20/20. I'm like, you just told me a couple of weeks ago he needed glasses. And for 10 years, we were able to keep him from needing glasses. And at 18, he finally got his first pair of glasses. So it's very amazing what Eye Bright can do.
Hi, Jana. Your presentation is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just have a quick question about the tongue chart that you put up. As you're working with clients, do you look at their tongue repeatedly? Do you see it heal? Do you see it change, like the scalloping and the cracks?
That's a good question. So the tongue you do see healing. So when someone comes back in after they've implemented some of the natural things to help their digestive system or whatever was going on, then yes, you can see it smooth over. You can see those cracks disappear, which I think is really cool because you can monitor your own healing that way.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So I want to take a break just a moment. I think we're going to bring everybody out. Come on, you guys.
Thank you for the four doctors on the stage for everything that you do. I am Grace Asagra of Quantum Nurse Podcast. And I have 3 short questions, and it's up to you to pick any of them, okay?
Sure.
So first is, can you speak more on where mental, emotional, and spirit bodies fit in the multidimensionality of the human body for wellness? Because you stated 10, and then the other one, I'll just read the 2. Okay, then moringa is scarce in United States. Why not use or focus on local vegetables close to nutrients in moringa? Because I grew up in the Philippines, and moringa is our natural. We eat moringa all the time. And then the third one is, how do you address the oxalates, tannins, etc. in foods like spinach that is potentially harmful for the body to manage? And thank you.
Okay, well, those are a lot of questions. The first one was about our mind, body, soul. They're all interconnected for sure. I mean, prayer is probably the most powerful thing we can do over our bodies. We're made of water. We know that prayer changes.
That's good. Yeah.
Changes the
It's okay
water,
to pray.
right? So I think yes, it's all interconnected. And I know when each of us speak to people, we don't just look at what they're eating. We spend lots of time with them and we find out what's going on in your life, and we pray with them. So thank you for that. That's very important. Do you guys want to talk about any of the others?
I'll just speak to what it is I found the most rewarding in practice, actually, is people would come to me after suffering for decades with illnesses, diagnosed with medical diseases. You know what the most incredible thing was to have them say to me? months after going through the healing process and detoxing process, was to tell me that their relationship with God, and they were returning back to church and praying again, where they actually, from all of their suffering, were becoming bitter and turning away from God. So to me, that was one of the coolest things to hear. That, and then second was, you saved my marriage because my one spouse was so miserable, and thank you for doing that. So the spiritual aspect was always very rewarding
That's
for
good.
me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your question about moringa, the nutrient value of moringa, if you just look up nutrient benefits or nutrient value of moringa, we want to encourage you all to learn to research as well. You will find that it is truly a superfood. It is amazing, and every part of this tree can be used. The seeds purify water. The oil is incredible for your skin. The leaves you can eat raw. You can dry it. It's one of the most versatile superfoods I've ever been exposed to. I love it. Oh, and even the pods and the wood can be used to smoke and preserve meats. It's pretty awesome.
I'd second that. I love moringa. Moringa is like has everything in it. You can just eat the leaves right off the tree.
And it grows like
I'll
weed.
speak to the oxalates because that's an issue. So there's a big difference between living, energetic, vibrational food versus dead, cooked, microwaved, radiated food. The oxalates that you're hearing doctors talk about that are in spinach, that are trying to bash, living foods. Like what Jana was saying earlier, we have natural enzymes in our foods. We have water, energized, structured, distilled water, and we have organic minerals. I'm going to be talking about this actually in my next presentation. There's a huge difference between how the minerals in foods work and substances in foods work. You have no issues with oxalates if you eat living spinach because you already have everything to break them down. It's what's happening when you radiate or when you cook foods, that's when it becomes an issue. So that's the reason why today we feel it's super important for everybody that's watching. Thank you, first of all, for coming and joining us. Now more than ever is the time where everybody needs to make that decision of I'm going to start taking care of my body and my mind and my soul, and I'm going to take responsibility instead of putting the responsibility on everybody else, because the true definition of a doctor is a teacher, not a prescriber, and that's part of their whole plan is to engineer your whole life to where you're always looking outside of yourself instead of understanding that all of us are here to become enlightened beings. And so we want to teach everybody the simplicity behind that to where they can feel empowered, that they can leave after this weekend and have all the skills of over 100 years worth of research and working with people to become self-confident in their own bodies and in their own skills and not have any fear or unknowingness of how their body works and how their body heals.
And I think, just for perspective, you're going to hear enlightened beings probably multiple times throughout the weekend. The group's going to keep throwing that out there. Please don't be weirded out by that. How many of you believe that God is an enlightened being?
The ultimate.
I mean, really, do you?
The ultimate.
I think he said he created you in his image, right? So don't be weirded out by that. You're an enlightened being. Take it over. Own it. Okay.
Ultimate gratitude for this conference. Thank you. What causes skin cancer, and what do you recommend for healing?
Oh, looking at me. I mean, all the chemicals and poisons and toxins.
There's so many things. There's so many
million
toxins.
things that do that. That's a really hard question. Just on
but since they convinced everybody that the sun was bad and to start slathering sunblock all over your face and your skin, the cases of skin cancer have skyrocketed. Yep. And then factor in the fact that they've been blocking out and selectively absorbing all of the sun's natural rays. So it's becoming more and more difficult for you to actually produce the vitamin D. Your skin is a microbiome. So you have a microbiome and energy on your skin. So it's almost sometimes better not to wash your skin as much and use harsh soaps and chemicals on your skin. It's just sometimes I see people like everywhere they go, they're hitting the hand sanitizer gel and they're just like slathering it all over their body.
Like
and
they're
so
surgeons.
you're killing,
They're
you
getting ready
know,
for surgery,
the microbiome on your skin whenever you're putting those chemicals on the skin. And
That's going to
we
contribute.
looked at all those sunblocks years ago, and there was at least 4, if not 16, cancer-causing chemicals. And it's not just in sunblocks. You have them in all kinds of personal care products as well these days.
Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, this just dawned on me. If the sun was bad, we would have all been dead a long time ago, right? So I think, yeah, you could go ahead, you give me a clap on that one, that's okay. So I think you have to begin with some simple common sense. Anything the TV is telling you is a lie. Okay? All right, right, amen, right? Amen. So when they tell you, oh, little Johnny, mom, because where do they always go after? They always go after moms, right? And why do they go after moms? They play upon your love for your children. And how do they play upon it? If you don't do this, little Johnny's going to die. If you don't put the sunblock on him, little Johnny's going to die. If you don't get this damn shot, little Johnny's going to die, right? And how many of you have heard an MD, a white coat, a cult of Asclepius dude, say that to you when you've been at a well baby checkup? If you don't get this shot, your baby's going to die. Let me hear a round of applause if you've heard a doctor say something like that. Okay? If that was true, we would have never made it to 1900, right? You have to stop for a second and go, wait a minute, hold on, used car salesman. Just wait a second here. You're not making sense. So if we're talking about curing cancer, right, what you have to do is something Dr. Ardis, Dr. Group, Dr. Schmidt, myself advocate for strongly. Clean the internal environment, clean the external environment. Your body is designed to heal. Let it do its job. What happens with it, Pastor Dave, I love you, baby. All right? What you have to do is 2 things, my people. You have to be open to unlearning all of the lies. Okay? And the second thing you have to do is trust in God. And when you do those 2 things, you're going to be all right. Okay? Put on some Bob Marley, have a little bit of stuff that I like to do, and everything's going to be all right. Okay?
All right, Janice got a secret weapon too. Go ahead. For skin
All right,
cancer.
I hesitated to say this, but I have 2 favorite herbs for issues for the skin cancer. And number 1 is what Dr. Ely just said, is the internal environment needs to be good because our bodies are designed to heal. While that's happening, okay, I'm going to say it. Dr. Philip Fritchie shared this with me. There's 2 amazing, and he's since passed. He's a brilliant naturopath. He was my mentor. Birch bark. There's incredible studies on birch bark, and when the pharmaceutical company that paid for that study to be done found out they couldn't make it stable enough to patent, they killed the study and silenced everyone. Birch bark. And the other is, and he taught me this one too, bloodroot. I said it. It's out there. I'm sorry. It's out there. So bloodroot literally goes between cancer skin and healthy cells and cuts off the circulation and the oxygen, and the blood to it. So over a period of time, and only topically, by the way. This is the only way I use bloodroot. So anyway, those are my 2 favorites, but internal environment, of course, first, good clean food, get rid of the toxins. But while you're doing that, if you need, you can do some topical things too.
I'm so proud of you for saying it out loud.
I've not said it publicly before. It's kind of been
you know what I'm going to say.
It's been in my pocket for a long time. No, I know.
I know what I'm going to say, too. Fast. Yeah. And he's going to tell you urotherapy. That's what you're going to hear all weekend long.
Well, ozonated olive oil works pretty good,
that's
too,
good.
as well as iodine.
I like that, yeah.
All right, let's get through some questions. We've got a lot of people here.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Smith, for this super informative presentation. I'll definitely tell my boys at home about the bubbles in their pee.
They love it. They love it. It's hilarious.
So my question is about sprouts and autistic children. So is it possible for the sprouts to completely brought the autistic child, back to the normal spectrum?
Well, I think that's a tough question because I wouldn't know what brought them there. But removing all avenues of harm and getting things out and like giving them all the nutrients that they need, especially those nutrients that nourish the brain, the neurotransmitters in the brain, and sprouts do that, along with like really great essential fatty acids, increase avocado, nuts, fish, that type of thing, because those are good brain foods as well. But it's hard to say. I have seen extreme cases of people that the child wasn't able to even enter a special school, actually in just a matter of 6 months, enter a regular classroom, and he's doing great. So there's it's going to help, but I don't know what the extent of the help will be. And I think there's some other things that would need to come alongside that person's lifestyle as well to help them. But it's something that's wonderful regardless.
Thank you.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Thank y'all for being so sweet. I mean it. Thank you for being so kind and so sweet and everything. We really appreciate it. We're just so grateful for you coming out. Everybody online, thank you for being so kind online and sweet. We just really, really appreciate it. Thank you so, so much.
You are so welcome, and thank you all for the opportunity to be amongst you. I really appreciate it. I have a couple of questions. My daughter has gotten rid of all sugar, and she doesn't drink sodas, but she's been drinking a lot of sparkling water. How much is too much?
I mean, you can overdo anything.
You want me to do it?
I do
What made it sparkle?
Ever.
What made it sparkle?
Oh, I know the answer to that. It's the carbon dioxide.
And what do you exhale?
CO2.
So now, he's going to say something different on this, I think, because you sent me something on this, didn't you? On the carbon dioxide and everything, and that so listen.
Maybe. I don't know. We've been sharing so many documents.
Yeah, right, exactly. We read so much stuff. For me, it's never made sense. It's never, and what I look to is nature. Where is sparkling water in nature? Right? So I don't see it anywhere. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, I don't see it anywhere. So for me, and we're going to have a big talk on water tomorrow, everybody. Y'all do not miss this. It is going to be jaw-dropping for you tomorrow, okay? I'm selling it. I better get that presentation done, too. Okay, so listen, though. If it's not in nature, you have to question it. And if you're putting carbon dioxide into your cells, into your bloodstream, what you're doing is now causing the red blood cells to bind that gas. See, the key thing of life for all of us is gas exchange, getting oxygen delivered to the cells, getting carbon dioxide exhaled out of the body so we can give it to the trees. And then the trees and the plants and the herbs and everybody says, thank you, and they give us oxygen back. That's the whole reciprocity. So it doesn't make sense to me to put carbon dioxide, something we're trying to get out, back in.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
For sure.
The other thing is you mentioned sprouts. Are there any particular sprouts that you would prefer over others?
That's a good question. They're all amazing, but the one that has the highest content of the sulforaphane that I'm talking about is broccoli sprouts.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all.
Yeah, very well. Which would be good for skin cancer too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, and Jana, you had a great presentation. And Dr. Ardis, thank you for putting this together. I've listened to all of you on various docuseries, so it's so great to see you in person. And I love that you're all God-loving, so that's another perk. I've got two things real quick, because my daughter's pregnant, and she was just feeling under the weather just last week, and I told her, oh, you need to take some bee pollen. And she goes, I don't think I can take that while I'm pregnant. I'm like, really? So that's what I want to know. Can she take bee pollen while she's pregnant? And I just bought your bee pollen like a couple of months ago, and you were explaining how to make sure, because I used to buy it from a store locally, and you said make sure it's organic, and you really stressed that, so I bought yours.
Oh, wonderful. And so the bee pollen question, I'm going to talk a lot about bee pollen tomorrow, so get ready. But to answer your question specifically, I don't know enough probably about your daughter's health.
She's pretty healthy.
Overall, bee pollen is absolutely fine. Organic is the key, honestly, because if you get pollen from anywhere and you don't know where it's coming from, those bees could have pollinated on plants sprayed with Roundup or who knows what. So organic is key. And even the water source, like we go to great lengths to make sure their water source is actually as pure as ours, and then protecting them from Wi-Fi radiation. And there's so much that goes into it. So did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think she can take it.
Is it good?
Do you give the bees sparkling water?
Expecting mom take?
I don't give the bees sparkling water.
No. Okay.
What? They wouldn't drink it if
No,
I
they won't
did.
drink
Can an expecting mom have bee pollen?
Well, I said overall, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, overall, yes, absolutely. That is definitely my go-to for every pregnancy. Yeah.
And the other question was about broccoli sprouts. I was told that if you freeze it, it's even more potent than not. And so I freeze it and I put it in my smoothies. And so I wanted to make sure that blending it didn't destroy it.
Blending it definitely won't. In fact, it actually helps the digestion process, breaking up that. But I don't think freezing makes it more potent.
Okay.
That's actually, generally freezing takes it away a little bit, some of the natural live enzymes, but it's still good. So freezing would probably be the next best thing, but fresh is best.
Okay, awesome. Thank y'all very much.
Thanks.
So glad to be here. You just don't know.
We're glad you're here too.
I got that out.
We're glad you're here.
So my question actually, I think, dives a little bit deeper on this sprouts thing. Can you expand, Dr. Smith, on the use of sulforaphane in the use of those with autism, mostly at a therapeutic level? I've got a couple of persons in my family on the spectrum, and I gotta help. But sulforaphane got my attention. But at what therapeutic levels do we start?
Right, so it's going to be different for every person, but getting sprouts in your body every day, you can eat it on salads, on sandwiches, that's going to help. But if you're talking about supplementation, that's going to be specific dosing for people. And again, supplementation is good, but fresh is best.
Gotcha.
So there are a couple of companies that make a really good broccoli sprout, and it's dehydrated in capsules. Again, second best, but naturals, fresh is going to be best. And I would say daily.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You can hide them in smoothies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally could.
Can I ask a follow-up question to Dr. Ardis for you? What else has to happen to make sure the environment is right for that healing to occur when you do start introducing some things that can help restore the nervous system?
I don't know what your question is, either.
Well, the root cause of autism is not a sprout deficiency.
Right.
So, the root cause is what you really want. That's great. I mean, I love sprouts. I mean, we do a sprout blend. It's amazing the power that's in the sprouts, especially if you have the little seed capsule attached to them as well. That was a therapy called gemotherapy that was developed by a guy years and years and years ago, which was just kind of lost. And he would actually grow little baby tiny pine trees and different types of shrubs and herbs and everything. And once they got to a certain point, he would pull them out. And then that was just, you had the power and the energy and the vibration of everything concentrated in those sprouts, where today, a lot of times in the processing, it's always best to just do your own sprouting. That's always going to be the best. But a lot of the sprouts that you see on the market today are not they're not dried properly, they're radiated, they're not.
That's why making your own is best.
Yeah, always making your own is going to be the best out of that.
So all the suggestions, like even if it's like, this herb, it always goes alongside with detoxing the body. Like it's a whole inside and outside, getting rid of external and internal environment that's toxins that are going to affect the body. So the sprouts are great, but the root cause is what we really need to address.
Particularly when you're talking autism, particularly heavy metals. You got to address heavy metals, nothing, especially mercury. Mercury is going to have just tremendous affinity for the nervous tissue. So that's got to be chelated out, right?
Gotcha.
And then once you get the internal environment cleaned up, now you can start bringing in things that are going to regenerate. It's not, and this is what we got to get our heads out of everybody, because everybody wants a pill. Right? They have trained us over the last, there he goes, it's gone. It just left, bye-bye. No, they've trained us over the last 100 plus years. The solution to everything is in a pill, right? And so what you see a lot of people do is take that medical model and try to bring it into natural medicine. And that's not what we do. It's a part, but it's not the foundation, right? So you got to make sure, and you'll get this tomorrow, the air is clean that the baby is breathing. The water is clean that the baby is drinking. The food that the baby is getting in is clean. And then you can start doing things. And one of the things I would definitely like you to look up is something Dr. Dayan Goodnow is doing right now. He has actually a study going with an autistic child who was completely far down on the spectrum. Started giving him something that is found in mama's breast milk called plasmalogens. And plasmalogens help the nervous system to remyelinate. So to get that wonderful coating, that fatty coating around it. And then the baby went from completely non-responsive, could only get around the house by dragging his butt on the ground, to now walking and running around the house within 6 months.
Awesome.
So you see what I mean? It's not just one thing, but you start putting enough things, good things together, and now you got something special, and then you could do what some people call miracles.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another sprouts question.
I had a nerve.
So I'm hearing that sprouts are wonderful, but what would you guys say to sprouts in regards to the controversy regarding the lectins and the protective mechanisms being harmful to people? What kind of...
Natural, especially the stuff that works really, really good, there's coordinated efforts to try to bash that. And half of these studies are funded by pharmaceutical companies. I would say that God only creates the energy and vibration, which is what I'm going to be talking about today too, because that's kind of a lost subject when you look at anatomy and how the body works. And they've purposely steered us away from that. And made it seem like it's metaphysical and the aura is some sort of a weird thing. But everything, like Tesla and Einstein and any type of quantum scientist will tell you, is that everything is in energy and vibration. So the sprouts are going to be power-packed with energy and vibration. And if you're doing it and you're growing them yourself, then I personally would have no worry about any type of... You're already going to have the enzymes needed to break those down. You're going to have the organic minerals and vitamins and the organic structured water in there, exactly what your body needs and wants to raise your vibrational frequencies, raise your biofield.
In 9 months, you were all told that they created a synthetic vaccine that was safe and effective. And then they want to tell you that's something God spent developing and designing, or if you're an evolutionist, that evolved for millennia. I choose the creation side. That if God created that, do you really think he screwed up when he created your vegetables and your plants? Who's telling you there's something wrong with the plants God made?
Yeah.
Science is. Man did not figure out something God forgot. He didn't screw up the first time.
Amen to that.
Great, thank you.
All right,
Amen.
thank you.
Yes.
Love seeing the baby, by the way.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
New life.
I belong to Dr. Buttar's TAP membership, and we just want you to know that there's a stream of prayers for each and every one of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Dr. Smith, please forgive me if I missed this in your presentation, but I would be terribly amiss if I didn't ask this question before I returned home. Is there something that might alleviate or at least counter hot flashes?
Yes.
Are you having them?
My wife was right behind this question.
Yes, absolutely. Getting the hormones balanced is very important, and a lot of good fats in food can help our hormones balance. Being able to digest those, so getting good enzymes, natural, healthy foods that have fats in them are going to be really helpful. And then that prized red raspberry leaf tea is often really good for filling in where they might be deficient in minerals. So that helps quite a bit. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about some essential oils that help as well.
I thought hot flashes was a response to global warming.
No such thing.
No, I guess not.
Ed's got one more thing for you, sir. Sir.
Well, I don't want to be like up here promoting products or anything like that, because it's like, I don't want that to be that type of a conference. But the women's hormone balance that we put together was men go through andropause, women go through menopause. It's not talked about as much for men like it should be, because men don't really pay too much attention to their symptoms unless their wife pushes them to the doctor.
Why might she do that?
But it basically, it's an alteration in hormones, and that can be mostly because of the endocrine system. So when you look at what disrupts the endocrine system, you look at the endocrine disrupting chemicals, and that's going to be metals, that's going to be plastics, phthalates, it's going to be parabens, it's going to be glyphosate, pesticide residue, insecticide residue. So really, answering that question is you just asking always, like, what's the root cause? Yes, we all go through hormonal changes as a guy, starting from 28, your DHEA, your growth hormone, your testosterone, all your hormones start going down. And that is a natural process that happens. However, with the introduction of all of these chemicals and all of these toxins and the radiation and the amount of stress and anger and fear and division and all these other factors that are out there, what we're trying to say is these dark forces, satanic dark forces, have, since the 1960s, really been engineering everybody's lives. Just like I said yesterday, what if every single thing in your life from the time you were born was actually engineered, and your whole life was engineered and you didn't even know it? I mean, that's the depth of what they've done from the time you're born in a hospital, the blue lights. What's the first thing you see? You see your doctor before your mother or your father. They do the birth completely wrong to begin with. Then the baby is traumatized with getting stuff shot into it. Then even the cartoons the baby watches, like every single piece of your life, becoming addicted to alcohol, having mental things, everything, if you really break it all down, the fluoride in the water to dumb you down, to take away your connection to God by calcifying your pineal gland, all of these are all vectors that they've strategically planned that all come into effect. And that's why really in the simplicity of all of it is just like our bodies, our mind, and our soul are being poisoned, if you really want to just break it down to simplicity. Yep. And that's why it's so important for you to take control over your own health. And it's just, how do you get rid of poisons if you're being poisoned every day? Mm-hmm. You detoxify.
Right. Constantly.
So let me add one more thing on here. I'm a naturopath, and it's hard to meet a naturopath, a real naturopath, and have them not mention poop. Okay? So, you got to poop every morning. That should be the first thing you do, maybe after prayer, before you can figure it out, right? But you got to get it out, okay? So, what happens when it's sitting in your colon too long is now those hormones that the liver processed and is trying to get out of the body start recirculating back in because they're fat soluble. So, that's the first place you start. And one of the things that you got to do, and say this with me, because I want you to deliver this message to your lovely. Okay, you ready? Say it with me. It's your duty. Say it with me. You got to say it.
It's your duty.
Say it. All right, we're going to start it over. Okay, there's a test run right there, everybody. Okay, here we go. It's your duty to move your booty.
Move your booty.
Okay, and you can put that on a quote for Dr. H and say, Dr. H said to say it to you, honey. You got to move your body every day. And that's how you withstand the, what would you call that? What now? That's some big college words.
Andropause.
Andropause. You learn something new with these cats every day, I tell you.
But I 100% agree with Jana and everybody up here. No, I do on the liver.
No, I'm just because
you definitely have to poop.
It felt like we had some static there for a second.
No, we don't have static. I wanted to reinforce.
Dr. H, it's okay. I agree with you.
I want to reinforce the necessity to clean the liver. The liver is the main detoxification organ. I love you, buddy.
I do not love you.
Actually, I can assure you.
You should be part of our calls on the.
She's in the bathroom a lot, so I'm sure she has that covered.
Say it again. It's your duty
to move the booty.
To move your booty. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Atkinson.
Hi, Jana.
I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you all for putting on this conference, and thank you, Jana, for your presentation. My question is specific to dandelion. In the spring in Texas, we have lots of dandelions, but what do we do the rest of the year? Do you have a source for dandelion? Do you recommend taking it year-round?
Oh, I think year-round is great, but you can, when they're in bloom, you can save them. You can dry them, you can freeze them, you can make tinctures out of it, so you can have dandelion all the time. But again, make sure people consider them weeds, so make sure no one has sprayed anything weird on them. But I know at your place they'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Thanks. Hi.
I want to thank you for this weekend and for the last couple of years when y'all have been heroic And I believe you're our modern day heroes and you were born for these times. My question is about tinnitus. We've been seeing so much of it, and I'm wondering, is it the 5G? I don't know how to help people with that, and I'm wondering, some people say it's not about the ears, it's in the brain, and I'm just confused about it, so I thought you might have input.
All right.
Here we go. We all know who to look at for that one right there.
Okay.
It's a good question.
All right, so this is not a joke. Whether or not you're familiar with this or not, or maybe you are you familiar that Carlo Brogna in Italy figured out that every COVID-19 positive patient had 36 different animal venoms in their blood and in their feces? Mm-hmm. And none of the COVID negative group had any? None. There were 20 different snake venom proteins in their body that actually answer every single symptom of COVID. There were 16 different marine shell venom creatures in the bottom of the ocean floor whose venoms were inside people on land in multiple cities in Italy. I guess they all went snorkeling together. Got stung, all of them, at the same time by these cone snails. Yeah. All right, so the reason why I bring that up is tinnitus is a great point. You're going to learn a lot about this tomorrow. There were 15 different conotoxins that were found inside of every COVID-19 patient's blood and in their feces. Conotoxins come from these little snails on the ocean floor whose venom is 1,000 times more potent to humans than king cobra venom. And there's 15 different venoms from those snails in the bodies of those patients. During the pandemic, they started publishing research studies on the effects of conotoxins, wrapping them in lipid nanoparticle hydrogel. Not a joke. Taking the conotoxin powder form, putting it on the skin of animals, the dry conotoxin venom, and then taking the nanoparticle hydrogel-coated conotoxin and putting it on the skin of other animals. When you wrapped it in nanoparticle hydrogel, it actually went inside the bloodstream 7 times faster than the dried conotoxin venom on the skin, or in water. They're water-soluble. In those papers during the pandemic while you were being locked down and they're researching what's the effect of conotoxins, they actually published that conotoxin venom wrapped in nanoparticle hydrogel that they use as a bioweapon actually targets alpha-7 nicotine acetylcholine receptors, and in the paper stated it binds to the hairs in your inner ear, which there are external hairs and internal hairs. And when the conotoxins bind to the nicotine receptors on the outer inner hairs, it causes the inner hairs of the ear to vibrate nonstop for years, creating tinnitus.
Okay. So this, I see it in folks who are vaccinated and folks who are not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So conotoxins you were all exposed to, calling it COVID. Okay. My wife is sitting there in that front row from the time she got a flu shot in college. Okay. She's had tinnitus. When she got COVID, it accelerated 90 times, driving her crazy. Couldn't hear TV, couldn't hear radio, could hardly hear me talking at times for 2 years. Until I had her chew nicotine gum, and on the third day, that 90% increased rate with the COVID symptoms completely abated back to the previous tinnitus. And just so you know, when I shared this study with all of this group, the Healing for the Ages group is going to be coming up. Everybody pay attention. They actually state elderly around the world, 70% of them experience tinnitus. Just so you know, in this study, they actually say when this lingers, that excitatory response to the inner hair from conotoxin venom being bound to your inner hairs, it will lead to deafness. And they said 70% of all elderly people in the world are struggling with tinnitus. You want to tell me how they're doing that? Mm-hmm. That's a huge business. Have you, any of you got elderly people who need hearing aids? When Ed Group says they have engineered your entire life,
Here we go.
they have been weaponizing conotoxin venoms for decades, and none of you knew it. I didn't know it. I didn't want to know it until 2 years ago. But oh my God, every single symptom that you can actually see that's long-lasting. And I'm going to go through this tomorrow, don't worry. But we are dedicated, I'm not kidding, to coming up with a solution for tinnitus that will actually include nicotine to release the venom from alpha-7 nicotine receptors. Now, if there's natural processes that lead to deafness, because you're a Metallica heavy metal head and you can't stop listening to music, or you're a concert nut and like to be right up stage and you're having physical trauma, that is not a venom. cause of deafness or tinnitus. Do not think for a second that Dr. Ardis came up with a nicotine ear cure sometime in the future, and I can go to every Bob Marley concert with Ely and stand right in front of the damn speakers. No. However, if we can actually provide some relief like we've been able to do uncovering this information in the last 4 years to reclaim life and remove symptoms, I am adamant that we're going to figure this one out too. And it's going to be correlated to the venom. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, our research doesn't end here.
I'm not even talking about that tomorrow. That was just extra. Okay.
Thank you for caring enough about all of us to be here today.
You're very welcome.
The last lady's question really pissed me off because I'm 50 and my ears ring for the past 2 years. I'm not vaccinated. Now I'm really pissed. So,
Good. Get pissed. Right? They've been lying to you.
So hydrogen. I have a hydrogen machine. I made my solution. When I get home, I'm going to start using it. What are your thoughts?
All right, Ed.
I got something on it.
Dr. H.
You know what a Fenton reaction is? Okay. So.
Me either. What's he about to say?
At the end of the production of hydrogen peroxide, right, when you start getting your body making that hydrogen peroxide again, the hydrogen peroxide can finally disassociate into water, H2O, and be left with another O. And that O can connect to a hydrogen molecule making an OH. Can you see it in your head right now? Mm-hmm. That is a hydroxyl free radical. It is the absolutely worst known free radical that our bodies make, implicated in so much of the degenerative diseases. When you introduce hydrogen water, it gives you another hydrogen, H2O. So that OH that has a negative charge on it, when you bring that hydrogen to it, it becomes H2O. So what hydrogen water does is it effectively neutralizes. Hydroxyl free radicals that you may be making. So a little bit of it will go a long way. You don't need to make all your water that way. I'm going to show you a better water than that tomorrow. Okay? But still, in the right situations, it'll work. So how do you know if it's doing something for you? Because you'll feel better within about 15 to 30 minutes if it was hydroxyl free radicals that were causing it.
And then recently coming across the amphiphilic properties of DMSO with the nutrient uptake, and is that something we should be doing even maybe with the sprouts or with?
I'm not a huge DMSO fan, but some people are. I think you start getting into different strokes for different folks. I think the thing that you should always do is explore what you feel right, what feels right for you. Do your research, be a student, and then if it feels safe and it feels right, give it a shot. And then see, well, let me not say that. We don't want you taking any shots, okay? Give it a roll, okay, and see how it does for you. And that's how so many of us have figured out things. It's like you read about something, we get excited. It's like, oh, I want to try that. And then you try it, and a lot of times it's like, wow, I just added something. You should see our pharmacopoeias in our houses. They're like that. But every now and then we come across something that's like, nope, that didn't work. But you give it a shot. Oh, see, I did it again, right? See how they engineered that in me, dang it. Give it a roll and see how it goes, okay?
And if you or anybody else you know understands muscle response testing, it can tell your body whether it's something you should have or shouldn't have. So if you know someone, but if anybody doesn't know what muscle response testing is, I highly recommend you look into it because it can literally tell you. It's God's given lie detector test for your body. It tells you what's good for you or what's bad.
I'll just mention one thing about DMSO because I think DMSO can be extremely useful in different situations, especially with swollen limbs, broken or sprained ligaments, works extremely well. And I worked with a guy named Dr. Jim Walker who was in his 90s when I was working with him, and he spent at least 20 years working with senior citizens. And one of his main programs was to always have about an ounce of DMSO sitting by their nightstand, and he had over thousands of cases where someone would go into a stroke or a heart attack and they drank an ounce of DMSO and it would completely wipe the stroke and the heart attack out within 12 minutes. So there are some really good uses for DMSO. I mean, blood clotting and strokes, it's amazing for that. Dr. Morton Walker wrote a great book on DMSO. It's just, I think what we're all trying to say is, there's so many things that are available to us, but what we really need is to focus on the root cause of what's causing all these issues in our body, and that's going to be all toxicity from the external environment and the internal environment. Yeah. It's amazing when you clean, and I'll talk about this next, what happens to your body's self-healing mechanism when your body is clean and the poisons are out. It's really like one solution for every condition.
Now just to set the stage, 5 more minutes and then this is a break, just so you know.
All right, so since the gut can destroy your C's, unless it's like liposomal C. Last time I checked, there was a study going on in Newtown, Pennsylvania, where they were working with the autistic children, but they were doing everything intravenous. So the glutathione, the C, the A, the E, they were doing it all intravenous, and they were having great success. What do you think about intravenous for detoxing versus oral?
I think there's a time and a place for it, but it's not my first go-to. I mean, for extreme cases, I think that it can help, but my first go-to is not intravenous.
Okay.
What do you guys feel about that?
I think if there's extreme cases and your entire life and marriage have been wrecked,
Then go for it.
why would you not go try it?
Yeah. Especially if it's naturals. Yeah.
I've seen parents and their marriages completely ruined and having to lock an autistic child in a cage. I'm not joking. The kid never slept for 8 years.
Oh.
Wow. Slept the first night after coming to our office. But the marriage ended in divorce within 2 years. It was just overwhelming. So they couldn't put her in a crib because she'd crawl out of the crib and just go crazy all over the house. So they locked her in a cage. Oh. So you really think I'd go like this? You should just get them broccoli sprouts.
Go get a.
Oh, God.
It could have worked.
Oh, man.
It might have worked.
Well, if you can find a way to inject the broccoli sprouts,
Into
try
a baby,
it.
yeah. Well, that's an idea.
Oh, man.
Intravenous.
We're not unrealistic here.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Hi, y'all. Thank you for the conference. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Quick question. I'm in the
Can you step up to the mic?
Come on to the
Sorry.
mic.
There you
Okay.
go.
Well, I'm like 5 foot nothing.
Well, I can't read
Oh,
your
sorry.
lips.
Okay.
There you go.
That better? Okay, so I'm in the process of buying an EE system, probably several, God willing. I'm hoping to help a lot of people who've been vaccinated. My hope is, since it helps to regenerate the body because it gives a healing area, right, is that where the mRNA has been clipped into our DNA, that it'll help the DNA on the right side of the mRNA and the DNA on the left side to figure out a way to get back together and push the mRNA out, right? That's what I'm hoping. That being said, with the nanotechnology in the vaccines and stuff like that, right, which are sensitive to frequencies, 5G, whatever. In any event, my understanding with the EES system is that it creates a 0-point space in the middle, right? So where those lights are sitting up there. And if that's the case, my understanding is there are no frequencies in that space. What do you all know, or what are your suggestions, opinions, thoughts? What are your thoughts on EES system and people who've been vaccinated?
I have a question. Is Nicola Burnett in the room?
There she is.
Where are you?
She was in the back. We'll introduce you to Nicola.
We'll introduce you to Nicola, and she's going to handle that
She
question
has
for
that-
you.
she
She
has
owns
your
that
answer.
actual clinic and system.
Yeah,
we'll
she knows
introduce you
about
to the woman that knows about
That's her-
double E
that's her
system.
thing.
She's here at the
promise you.
conference.
She will have the
She
answer.
knows the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nicola.
She
Nicola Burnett.
Don't put her on blast like that.
Yeah,
I just did. Too late, Ely.
She can handle it.
So, one thing though, keep in mind, it is part of our recovery recommendations. But you want
Sweet.
to understand, it's in the third category.
Yeah, yeah.
There are things you have to do to set up double E to be really, really effective.
Right, cleansing is a big
Right.
part of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And you're going to hear a lot of that tomorrow. All these things you have to really consider that maybe you didn't realize you had to consider to make sure you get it. Because the one thing we don't want to do is introduce people to a therapy that is really good, but the person isn't ready for it yet, their body, because then what you get is a negative experience where they go, oh, this stuff doesn't work.
Right.
No, it works great.
Yeah.
It's just your body wasn't ready for it yet. So you have to always keep in mind, everybody, what you're up against. You're up against people wanting to be fixed.
Yeah.
And we don't fix people. We teach you how to heal yourself.
Right.
We go after the tools that you have to do that and how to sequence them and put them together so there's synergy. So it's unlearning this single variable, allopathic, cult of Asclepius, white coat nonsense. I'm going to keep saying that. How many have heard me talk about cult of Asclepius? Yeah? Okay. We're going to make sure you know what the cult of Asclepius is by tomorrow, all right? And you're going to go, wow, this is kind of scary. But we want to just make sure you got that understanding, because then if you can express that to people when they're coming in, something beautiful happens. Their expectations go into a managed state, and now you can get the time you need to actually help them.
And let me set the stage here real quick. We are mortal men and women up here. There's only one individual I've ever heard of who could actually fix you in a moment.
Amen to that.
He might be standing behind us, but he ain't standing right here on these seats right now. Miracles occur instantly by only one person. It is not the four sitting up here. We're going to teach you how to heal and the principles and the way God designed the body to heal.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if you
That's
want
why-
healing
that's why I'm here.
instantly, you better get on your knees and talk to the one that does it. That ain't it. That ain't me.
Amen.
Part two of my question, right?
You got 27 seconds.
Okay. Well, you guys have all been to wonderful schools, and I've heard your stories and everything, but I wasn't there then. I'm here now, right? So I'm an oil and gas landman. I'm in oil and gas. But I want to become a chiropractor / naturopath. What would be the best, where would be the best start as far as schooling?
Energetic Health Institute.
Global Healing Institute.
Pick a school. You got two up here to start at.
All right, so Nicola Burnett is standing right here. Raise your hand.
Nicola! We have somebody
Any
introduce
questions
you.
on ES, go ask her. That'd be great. All right, so everybody,
We're going to take a break?
we're going
Back
to
in
take a break.
30?
Is it back in 30, Lisa?
Back in 30 minutes, folks. Yep, and enjoy some